I've been talking to have given some mixed reviews. Some say, look, he did no harm. Others saying he really did take the bait from Harris, and they're frustrated by that. I just want to read you what one Republican operative told me. He said, economic start was fine. Abortion was a disaster. Then she baited him with the rallies comment, and he hasn't been off the ropes since. It's like his kryptonite. He also said that she made age an issue without even saying it, that Trump sat back and let Joe Biden sound old and incoherent in that first debate. Now she's sitting back, letting Trump sound old, angry, and rambling. And again, that's from a Republican operative. So the Trump campaign, I think, from behind the scenes, wishes that he had spent more time on answers like immigration, where he could have sort of criticized Harris, could have touted his administration's victories. Instead, he went into the unfounded...
About what happened? Because there was a booty whooping last evening. And I have to say, I was quite relieved.
And delighted.
Quite relieved, because last night was the first and possibly last presidential debate between Vice President Harris and you-know-who. And clearly, Vice President Harris kicked some butt. She did. She did. She called you-know-who out for kissing up to dictators, killing the immigration bill, having no health care plan, and spewing lies about post-birth abortion, which, to be clear, is illegal everywhere.
It's also called murder.
Yes, well, that's the whole point. You cannot have a baby and then have doctors sitting around talking about whether they're going to kill it. No, that doesn't happen in this country or any country that I have ever heard of. So, but I guess his strategy was to double down on the crazy.
Yeah.
You think I'm kidding? Take a look.
What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
You talk about extreme.
Oh my God, Whoopi. When that came on last night, my dog Bernie hid under the bed. He was so scared. They have a picture of him. Look how scared that poor boy was. Look, doesn't he look scared? But she was so tough on him. That was almost like elder abuse. Like I was watching a woman kick the booby out of a man. Okay, it was sort of like painful to watch in a way. The booby?
I mean, she objectively won the night. Republicans are saying it. Fox News is saying it. Yeah. And as I predicted, he melted down within the first few minutes.
You sure did.
She laid traps for him, and he flopped right into them. Yeah. On the issue he should have been strongest on, border security, he ended up talking about his rallies and how they're actually great and nobody leaves. And I want to say this. If this was a traditional Republican president or traditional presidential cycle, you had Mitt Romney against Kamala Harris, I'd be saying, listen, she should have talked more about why she was for defund the police and isn't now, why she was for Medicare for all and isn't now. But nothing about this is traditional. These are some of the things he said. Yes, migrants are eating animals. He defended the January 6 rioters. He praised Viktor Orban. He wouldn't say that Ukraine should win the war against Russia. And the best of all, he was asked if he has a health care plan after being president for 4 years, out of office for 4, and he said, I have concepts of a plan. That's what you say when you have nothing prepared.
He's been trying to, he's trying to fix that for 10 years.
I hope that I think the mask started to slip even with MAGA supporters. If you can't get through a 90-minute debate, how can you get through 4 years of being president?
Well, he can't get through 4 years because he couldn't get through the 90 minutes. And I had said from the very beginning that I liked the matchup of a prosecutor and a felon, right? I like that. And what you saw was that you saw Kamala Harris prosecuting a case. I remember when I was prosecutor, I had a lot of difficulty pointing to the defendant and saying, this man did this. And the chief of my division said, if you can't point to the man and say that he did it, the jury won't point to that man and say he did it.
Yeah.
So she pointed at him and told him over and over and over again and said
Oh, go ahead.
The great thing was that Hillary Clinton said that he could be baited.
And she baited him.
And she baited it. She said, clearly he's having a very difficult time processing that he was fired by 81 million voters.
Yes, that was
He's not fired. He's not fired. Then she said, you know, I encourage Americans to attend one of his rallies because people leave early out of exhaustion and boredom.
Yeah, that killed him.
It killed him. It took him out.
It went.
Then she said,
it's mostly the size.
The size of his rallies. Then she says to him, she brings up the Wharton School where he attended school and said, they said your plan would implode the deficit. Finally, she says, Biden and I had to clean up your mess. Yeah. She also called him a disgrace, weak, and said that other leaders laugh at him.
I'm good. Let me show. Can I just do the walkout?
Yeah.
The walkout was the best.
She said just like this. Now, this may not be what was coming out of her mouth, but this is what her body was saying.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
Trying to think of how many songs I know that have the word L-O-S-E-R in. If you could suggest a few below. Look, competition is good. Some you win, some you lose. The art of a good loser, by the way, is to, well, just accept defeat.
So, you know, last night ABC had a choice. They could be credible, solid, probing, fair debate moderators, or they could be partisan activists. And they chose the latter. And
you regroup yourself and you come back for another day. But obviously what's going on here is whinge, moan, complain. Let's blame the moderators. It's the moderators' fault. Let's blame the air condition. The studio was too cold. Let's blame every single thing apart from the principal instigator. Loser. The tantrum this Wednesday is pathetic. And I think there is one thing that should really try to collect into his brain.
so, you know, last night ABC had a choice. They could be credible, solid, probing, fair debate moderators, or they could be partisan activists. And they chose the latter. And
I don't know that's got to be there. I saw it like that. Just because Fox are there to wipe your backside doesn't mean anything. In the real world, the significance of Fox News, which is just a business model for putting out conspiracy theories, lies and BS, no wonder Trump feels at home. In the real world, it's kind of insignificant. But it's fun to watch because they're losing the plot.
The highly anticipated debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Today, the two campaigns are trying to feel out the impact. Voters saw a heated face-off last night. Vice President Harris tried to balance broad strokes of her agenda with pointed attacks on Trump's policies, his personality, and his presidency. Former President Trump lobbed his usual attack lines about inflation and immigration, framing the Biden administration and Harris's role in it as weak. But he also refused to answer point-blank questions on major issues, and he doubled down on his lies about the 2020 election. The vice president pounced on that last point in one of perhaps the debate's most contentious moments.
Donald Trump was fired by 81 million people. So let's be clear about that. And clearly he is having a very difficult time processing that. And I'm going to tell you that I have traveled the world as Vice President of the United States, and world leaders are laughing at Donald Trump. I have talked with military leaders, some of whom worked with you, and they say you're a disgrace.